the second screen when you're doing live. So he wants the laptop back.
And you're live.
And are we live?
Yes.
Okay, so what we want to do is know that we can hear. I mean, the people can hear. I don't have nothing plugged in terms of headphones. So what, do I click this on this computer to get into the live to see if it's on? I don't remember. I got too much brain fog. I can't even see it. Is that it? What am I missing? Video details. Video link. There's the link. Let's see if it comes up. There's the link. Oh, see if it comes up. Okay, so now you get that tunnel because it's back. Okay, so now you get that tunnel. Do you ever come into contact with that? Do you ever come into contact with that?
One more time. That's because of the volume. It's too high.
It's because of the volume in general. You're not supposed to have your volume on technically when you're recording. Right? Now, it looks like one person is watching.
That is you.
That's not me. They don't count you as one person watching your own. Oh wait, maybe you're right. It's this computer maybe watching. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. So, what is the benefit? The camera's not working. If you notice that.
My face because it's covered.
Oh. See, this is why I have a grandson. It was just covered, Nana.
Oh, my puffy hair.
What?
My puffy hair.
Your puffy hair.
Look.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, it is pretty puffy.
My hair.
Okay, so does it have screen share? Let's see. All right.
You should type in the chat and make sure if it works. This chat on this one.
Oh. Over here?
Yes.
All right. Recapping on. I'm just going to go recapping on what's important. Okay? Because Nana gets distracted. You know? And I told Andrea, I'm only going to live for so long. I should be talking more about this subject while I'm alive. And that's just the reality of it. No justice, no peace, right? Okay, so let me focus. I'm on this one here. So recapping on what is important. Now, I did mention in my last video that's up now that, you know, I mean, like, I could talk about this stuff every day, all day long, fighting a good fight. Don't know where it would get me in life in regards to the reality of what's going on and why it goes on and why people don't do anything about it in terms of putting criminals in jail for heinous crimes against innocent human beings. But besides that point, so in the meantime, we're just practicing here because there was a...
You did press enter.
Oh. All right. Enter. There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Got it.
So a subscriber asked me to talk about, I guess you could say almost the economy, because I tell Andre, like, you know, if Nana starts doing live streams, like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. You know, I'll be holding Amari and we'll be featuring Amari or something or whatever. And honestly, I don't like being a YouTube fake. So you can kiss a lot of those.
I'm just talking about my hair day.
Andre's hair day. So anyway, a YouTube subscriber or a viewer either or asked me what, and I guess she, I'm assuming she's a woman, right? I think she's a woman, asked me, you know, what my thoughts were on, well, I suppose the economy. when it came to the tariffs that are being, brought to the table through Trump, and how Trump was, trying to infiltrate Canada, where we became the 51st state, and as if, most Canadians would want American health care, where, it just one injury to bankruptcy, in terms of, if you injure yourself, you go to the hospital. By the time you get home, you're anywhere between $40,000 to $200,000 in debt, depending on your injury, right? Well, that's not the kind of healthcare system that we have in Canada. But at the same time,
We did it for it.
well, if I can fall through the cracks through Canadian universal healthcare, whatever, well,
Oh,
I'm
there's a
only
second
one
person
of
watching.
many. Hmm?
You have another person watching you. Miss. Hello. Welcome to the stream.
I can't see it because the eye just likes to wander. Oh,
Yep.
no, I don't see it.
You have a second one.
Where?
To your right. Up there, to your right.
To my right. This is my right.
No. A little bit too different. Okay, so you see the little human icon?
No.
Okay, here we go. There.
Oh, that's because it's so light. That's why. I
Do you
can
have a second
barely
person
see it.
watching? Welcome to the stream, mate.
Welcome to the stream, mate. Where's the camera? Wait a minute. There's the camera. I'm looking into the screen. Welcome to the stream, mate. Yeah, this is my grandson, Andre. He's going to learn how to DJ soon. We're going to set him up sooner or later. Probably later, because there's no place to set it up, but we're working on it, right? So he's just practicing his skills right now. So I guess mate is one of your words, huh?
I say it every day, and then people think I'm British or Australian.
Oh, every day. So he's talking about that while I'm talking about economics between the United States and Canada, and what's happening on a political sense, where, am I in agreement of Trump doing what he's doing, or what are my thoughts on that? And that would be, well, that would be warmongers come in all shapes and sizes, because in light of the subject of this video, you don't hear these politicians. I don't know. I feel like I have to reach, okay? Because when you're talking, you really should be talking into the camera, right? So besides that point, let me stay focused, and we're just going to keep this short, right? Because we're just testing the waters here, right? For all the blah, 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 blah with the politicians talking on about how they, trying to save the country with these tariffs, that over the long haul, it's going to benefit the United States of America to recapture some of this money that's being, I don't want to say squandered, but forfeited for other countries like China to inundate the country of the United States of America without being held to account the I don't want to say luxuries, but the benefit, right? The benefit of, I suppose, tax cuts, where, in one way they accumulated mass wealth within the country without paying, as a country, China, its fair dues to the United States. And therefore, the country itself, in terms of the United States, is kind of lopsided, where China holds the assets and the United States is bound to be in servitude, slavery to China, because of the amount of money that's been lost with China not paying its fair dues. And that's why they brought in what? And that's why they brought in the tariffs to bring in that balance. But through that process, though, there's going to be a lot of suffering and pain and misery, where people are going to lose their lives, because they're not going to be able to keep pace with the changing of the money exchange between the duration of what's just starting and what Trump is trying to do as an end goal to balance the budget, I suppose you could say, right? As a Republican or a BC liberal back in the day would say, we're trying to balance the budget here, right? To, I don't know what, survive. Whereas right now, you know, regardless, it doesn't, for me, with the title of this topic, like it doesn't save lives. You see, that's the thing. No matter what Trump is doing, if anything, Trump is putting people's lives at risk. But then there's an agenda to that because we're in an age where, we're going into automated services where some are human and some are not, with technology well in advance of what we're aware of from a naked perspective, like from the naked eye, like you when you look at something and you see it as what fourth dimensional reality, when in fact there's other dimensions and other things going on in behind the scenes. So with that, life is like an illusion, but it's not an illusion when people die. It's not an illusion when your loved ones die. And with the politics being played, sure, you're going to put tariffs on China, but what do you do about stopping, the trade of illegal organ harvesting within the country itself of China? Or being that China is so entrenched in the United States, where they have their own mini bases, basically, their own police stations. Apparently, in British Columbia, Canada, where I live, the CCP downtown in the Chinatown area does and operate their own policing department. That's a lot of power. Where they also put three X's, no, sorry, five X's to lay claim to the territory in regards to where they've squatted, I guess you could say, on native land, saying that it's our land now because we're stronger than you, and we have the dragon in our court. Yeah, and they're doing that in the United States of America. And not only that, but a couple, 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they probably still do, they had 5,000 Chinese soldiers training in the interior in the province of British Columbia, Canada. For what training, for what purposes, I don't know. But if you cruise the internet and you listen to people talk, right, that know about this kind of stuff, they will tell you that there is a concern with those 5,000 soldiers crossing the line between Canada and the United States for an invasion. And being that there's already, I don't want to say camps, because that's not the right word, but there's already established military communities where those communities are somewhat regulated through military operations, whether it's through training or whether it's through, I don't know, you got to be careful what words you use, honest to God, on YouTube, right? So, on the dark side of things, right? You know what I'm saying? It could potentially be a problem where I don't know if Trump is addressing that part of the equation, although maybe in that situation, I could understand the economics of the United States of America, where, at least 51%. Huh?
Just a heads up, you're getting some lag on your.
I'm getting some what?
Lag.
Lag?
Yeah, on your other computer.
Okay. You can't do that, Andre. Honest to God. Because broke my train of thought, and it was important. Andre, I don't care about the lag. Okay, you can go now. When I'm done, I'll just turn off the live. You'll play with it. Don't worry. Okay, we're not going to worry about screen share right now. I'm doing a live. Let me just. This person asked me to talk about my feelings, about what's going on in the world between the United States and Canada with the tariffs and all this other crap. Da, 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 da. So, if you had to have 51% of the business and be in control with that 1% versus being at 49%, which one would you choose? I think Trump is trying to bring the United States of America back up to at least that 51% of shares, being a shareholder, to the overall, I don't want to call it global debt, but when you're going from country to country to country to country, it seems like he's trying to bring in a global balance where at best, and he admits that it's going to take years, who knows how long, to bring in that balance. To what degree or another? Because as it is right now, I don't know, people, and even if he was successful at bringing it up to 51%, where the United States of America had 51% of its own assets as a country, to, I don't know, I'm not no financial expert, but I would think that if a country held 51% of its own assets, compared to, the more you owe, the poorer you become. And you can look at other countries that have no assets as an example to that. But in order to bring it back up to that at least 51%, I don't know what it is right now. I'd put it at maybe 38% and falling, just with the numbers of people losing their jobs and yada yada yada, right? And it's frightening though, because at the end of the day, I know, maybe you don't know, because I don't know who's watching. Because if it was a foe, or a friend, I should say, if it was a friend watching me, my friend would say something to me. But they're not saying anything. So this is either a foe or just somebody that wants to listen. So either or, it's not the point. The point is, I have a grandson that can help me with live streams, which means that I can get more creative with them. The only thing is, I don't know what to talk about outside of maybe what's important to me and my family and my community. I would like to think that my country is on board, but the way the politicians act, the way the public union sector as a whole, not as individuals, but as a whole, act, because it's the whole that ruins it for the individuals in terms of the heinous crimes that are occurring, because the tax dollars are there to pay for the facilities of illegal organ harvesting, at least in British Columbia, Canada, because anything that's coming out of bodies in this province is coming out of hospitals, taxpayers, right along with the employers, right? And that to me is an important subject, because it directly affected my family, where I've got 2 dead daughters and 2 orphan grandsons, basically, right? With an American president that wants to, I don't want to say play lip service to China by, posturing, right? Oh, we're going to put on all these tariffs because, haven't been paying your fair share, and you ended up basically getting rich off of us. So now we need to recoup our losses by charging you extra taxes so that we can bring ourselves back up to at least holding 51% of the shares as a country, to be able to keep you at bay, even though your people, as Chinese people that are been militarized, have already infiltrated the country, which becomes a national security risk, right? But the way I see it is, if Trump was really Aryan type person, I suppose. Um, I think life should come first in terms of don't make your people suffer any more than they're already suffering by cutting back on this and cutting back on this with the old okie dokie of the Republican Party, you know, cutting back on the poorest of the poor, all these programs to compensate for what, the write offs that the rich, right? You know how that goes. They're the opposite, where, the Democrat Party is more of a people party where, they tend to share more of the wealth, but at the same time, both parties manufacture poverty. Can you do something with maybe sit him up so he can burp? That would be good. So as well as if you're gonna penalize China, make them pay their fair share, sock it to them through the World Bank, who knows? If you're willing to do that for the American people, then why don't you, being that you're paving the way as a president, as United States president at that, why don't you pave the way to end illegal organ harvesting, because that man knows it's happening. Mm-hmm. And we have yet to see any politicians stand up, speak out against it, fight against it. Just he's pandering. He's Even though he's putting tariffs on China and trying to sound like a big tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm a big president. I can put tariffs on Germany. I can put, not that I understand what a tariff is, other than it's just an extra tax that's going to drive people crazy, maybe even some of them bankrupt, right? Because they just won't be able to keep up with the cost of trying to do business, right? So you're such a tough guy, puffing here and puffing there, putting these tariffs on China to prove what? What? So that they'll bend over backwards and give you what you want, and at what cost, right? You know what I'm saying? Or is it going to backfire in Trump's face, and that invasion that maybe is in the back of his mind might happen sooner than he thinks, because the infrastructure is already there. You see, that's the thing. And that's why the United States of America is not sitting at that 51% of a shareholder where they have the upper hand, right? So it's like Trump is crawling up, but as he's crawling up, he'll make it to the top. He's one of those guys that will make it to the top of the mountain. If you've been watching my videos, I always talk about the overlord on the mountain while everybody else is on the cliff hanging on. Well, Trump is climbing up, but as he's climbing up, he's kind of being a brute about it, because he's just pushing one off here and pushing another one off there, pushing, right? So that he can get up there. Whereas most people finding themselves in that situation are hanging on, and they're still being polite to their neighbors and hoping that whoever's standing up the top will do the right thing and help them up along with everybody else. Where Trump is different. He's not hanging on. He's on that cliff. He knows it. He knows his country is on the. This is how I interpret it, right? If you had to ask me. And, in order to get to be the, one step, one notch, one penny more than at 50% of a shareholder to a country, you want at least that one extra percent so that but at what extent? Pushing by, okay, how many? 200,000? I don't know the exact number, where he fired a whole bunch of federal employees, just poof, all of a sudden, one day, a whole bunch of people lost their jobs. People that had been working for 20 years, or, they get hired on, they're on a probationary period, right? They go through all these changes to get to their job, blah, 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 and then they end up losing their job. Or maybe they've been only working at the job for 5 years, and they know if they work for another 15 years, they get their federal pension. And, the way we were taught that that's how you build a stable homestead, retirement, right? If you were lucky to get a federal government job or a provincial or a state government job, even a municipal or county, right? Because you deal in United States of America is the county, and in Canada we call them districts, right? City, those are like 3 levels of government which builds in those pensions. But what people don't understand is government can pay money into ghost accounts by simply bringing in a replacement to pose as a human being. And that's the point of this video, right? Not only to talk about what I was talking about, right? But if Trump is going to challenge China, why doesn't he challenge China on that? Instead of pushing past people and putting them deeper into poverty, whether it's the poorest of the poor, the working poor, those just above the poverty line, okay? And then you've got the low, and then you've got the middle class, and then you've got the semi millionaires that slowly but surely creep up to the billionaires, right? I mean, there's a pecking order involved there, right? Well, Trump isn't pushing off the upper crust of that pecking order as he's climbing up. He's pushing off everybody else in line. So he doesn't care if his people are harvested or not, in my opinion, which makes him a warmonger because he ignores what China does. And I can understand why I suppose he's doing what he's doing when it comes to trying to take control of your country and have that 1% upper hand as a shareholder to a global whatever it is that we're dealing with here. Sacrificing your own people for ego, for a it depends. How do we know he stands with God? Just because somebody says they do doesn't mean that they do. Especially when they're pushing everybody off the cliff just so they can get up to the top for that 1% to be in charge, as if you can push back on China for any length of time, right? And then expect the people, the American people, to pay the ultimate price, not only through living with the realities of poverty, but the suffering and everything that comes with that poverty as it's manufactured to become, well, people are conditioned to be in a caste system. They accept their fate. Yes, master. Whatever you say, master. Until it's too late. And then they wake up one day and their life is almost over with. And then they have to make a choice like me. Well, you've only got so much time to talk about serious issues. If you were to do live streams, what would you do? Well, sure, I can try and be funny. I do the kitchen stuff, but, whatever. I do things on fly with the camera. I don't know. Like, I don't want to fake the funk. I don't, people. So I think I should talk more about illegal organ harvesting while I'm alive, because I think people need to know, because there's too many people being pushed off the mountain. There's too many falling. They can't hang on because nobody's helping them up, and they get tired. So when somebody comes and it's easy to let go because they're barely hanging on. And we're talking millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Okay, young and old, right? That's not a good leader to ignore that issue. Never mind that body parts are being trafficked. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have to worry about the children that are being smuggled across the border, being trafficked, or women coming in from different countries being trafficked through prostitution, or even young men for that matter. As the rich get richer, playing, I don't know what the game would be, but you kind of like just it's like flipping something, and it just right. You're looking for that 1%. How many people have to die for that 1%? How many people have to become homeless, right? And then have whatever happens to them because they're homeless, because many things could happen, most of them negative, while your leader is feeding you the old okie dokie. Okay. Unless, of course, the agenda is to have more soup kitchens like in the roaring 20s coming, the Great Depression. Because all these young people not being able to get jobs, people losing their future pension plans because they're losing government jobs, even though they've been on the job for 5, 10, 15 years or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And people just can't even get jobs, and they have degrees and they're in high debt. Like, there's too many problems. Trump isn't addressing that. If anything, he's poking the bear. What does he hope to do? Flush out the military groups, agitate, stir up the bee's nest, poke the hornet's nest to see with their drones right, what they're doing in terms of, I don't know. I just know that that's all I know. I think he's weak. Yeah, because he knows illegal organ harvesting is happening, but more than likely he condones it because it allows technology, the scientific aspect of it, to you know how people get grants to do studies and to do experiments and to develop things, and that's all that does. By ignoring the problem, just allows people to capitalize on whatever projects they're working on when it comes to robotoids. A robotoid is a whole lot different than an AI operating system. Okay, in terms of Alexia is a little box that you can talk to and it talks back to you. But when you've got a robotoid that walks in front of you, stands in front of you, and portrays itself as a human, and because your eyes are in a fourth dimension, I think they call it, you don't see beyond what's really there when it comes to non-human. And because my videos, and I'm going to end this video now pretty soon, and because my last upload around this matter, with YouTube removing 2 of my comments, as I tried to explain to the person that acknowledged what I first had to say, by explaining how they can, individuals that participate in crime, in deceiving you to think one thing when they're actually doing something else for an end profitable goal, whatever that profit is. In the event of, it says it just said that my connection was unstable. So now that I'm talking about it, what, am I going to get kicked out? Like, come on, people. Like, seriously, like this bullshit, right? And I don't see very well, but I kind of seen that. Regardless, it doesn't matter. This is just a test. But yeah, like, it pissed me off, right? You don't. Well, then I'll talk about it. Record what I type, because I know YouTube's antics and I don't think it's right. Because if you don't allow people to talk about what's going on with their experiences in relation to how it stems out to other parts of the world, including your country, well, then we live in a very sordid world where we're born just to be, I guess you could say, dog meat. And even people with money, they're not, fail safe to be targeted for nefarious reasons. And our politicians, they don't talk about that stuff. They purposely avoid it. And they play lip service or they pander to countries with a long history of human rights violations, to which everybody knows is still going on. To what degree or another, well, we'll never really know because we don't get the truth of the matter unless, of course, we can capture something on our cameras, bring it to exposure, really analyze it, and then the truth is opened up and you can see it for what it is. But you kind of have to do, the research. You have to do the work. You have to, investigate, right? And when you do bring it to the surface, then you get people trying to censor you, which is kind of like having your leader climbing up the mountain as he's pushing everybody off, trying to tell them that he's doing it for them because he's shooting for that 1% that's going to put the United States of America back on the map where they're running the show. Right. Okay. How many people have to die for that show, though? Right? I don't know. Does he really see China as a threat? Does he really think that China is going to just graciously accept whatever it is he's trying to do without any retaliations? I don't know. Is he going to other countries and putting on the same type of tariffs or whatever as a smokescreen to well, China can't say that we're picking on them because we're doing it here, here, and here, and here. So if it was just China, then yeah, China might be more apt to go to war against the United States of America because it's one-on-one. But if Trump is putting tariffs on Canada and Europe and, Japan and wherever, right? And China, India, I don't know. All I know is that he's been running around acting like the world's bully, right? But at the same time, I don't know, he keeps calling out China's name. But maybe he's not so much a bully when he's drawing everybody else into the fight without them maybe even realizing what fight they're getting into. Because if it was a one-on-one duking it out in the ring, who do you think would win? China or Canada, or China or the United States of America? But still, what's it doing for the American people? What's it doing for Canadians? What's it doing for anybody? But that's okay. Because lots of us are dying. That's the way they see it. Out of sight, out of mind. Right? I think so. All right. Anyway, that's the end of this. Join the conversation to interact with. So anyway, I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to talk more about, I didn't talk much about it, because I have to get into my pitch. I have to do some things. But I kind of talked about it in terms of illegal organ harvesting because it's happening all over. Yeah. And it's happening for different reasons. And nobody's doing anything about it. Right? And that in itself is a problem. So, if anything, Trump is making it easier for people to harvest organs because, like I said, through his balancing of the budget, but not coming out and saying, oh, I'm a Republican, we need to balance the budget and blah, 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 blah. He's just hop, skipping, and jumping around it. But it's still the same old okie dokie. And too many people are getting hurt. Well, China, in my opinion, is getting off the hook and is still not being held to the account to the numbers of people that they hurt, whether it's their own people in their own country or whether they come to my country, set up shop downtown, put their X's up, and then harvest us out here while my government does nothing about it. That's where Trump fails with a big flat F like that. He gets 5 F's. Fail, 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 fail. So when you come to me talking about how you want to save the country, but yet you fail the people, it doesn't add up, right? All right, that's enough of that. So this is not a camera. Oh, this one's still recording. All right. Well, maybe I'll do something with this. Maybe I'll try and get creative. This my camcorder's still recording. So I'll turn that off. All right, so that one's off. That's interesting. Okay. Can you do screen share on this? That's what I wanted to know. I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, wait, maybe. Share screen. Let's see if I can share a screen before I go. Sunday Night Live. Chrome. Window.
What are you trying to do?
Oh. Here. This one here. This is what provoked. This is what provoked me talking about anti-Shimei and your mom and illegal organ harvesting in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Right? Pardon me?
Is it still giving you that problem?
Well, no, this is not XSplit.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're going to push share.
Okay.
You can only do one screen at a time, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Where is it? Oh, something happened there. Okay, so what's going on here? It's right there. Okay, so...
This camera works, by the way.
Yeah, but this is not working here. It should be showing there. It's not. So maybe...
Do the reset.
No. I have to...
No, on this computer. Like, press the reload button.
View tab, Studio YouTube.
View tab, where?
Sharing this tab to Studio YouTube. Stop sharing. But we don't see nothing there. See, this is what I mean. I'm not very good at this stuff. I see it here, but it should be there because that's the page that's...
Could I just do this? If you do this?
That's the wrong mouse.
No, it's this one. For that.
Yeah, but no, you don't have to. You should not have to reset the page. People don't have to reset pages. No, you do it from this end. Okay? Don't argue with me. Okay, this is... I don't know what the hell this is. Stop sharing.
You didn't even press stop sharing. Here you go.
Yeah, but it's not even sharing.
View tab. View tab.
Well,
there it
this
is.
one person.
There it is.
Okay, this one person is very patient, so we
That's
gotta.
you.
Are you sure that's me? Oh, I guess it is. That's why I don't like to do live streams. Oh, that's okay. People come back and watch later. But no, that's why I don't like to do live streams, because first of all, YouTube likes to mind effery me and frustrate me by shadow banning me, so we can't be surprised.
I test this out on Discord.
End stream. No, I'm not trying to end stream. So can I not play this?
No, you can. You just have to go on to the thing that's on. The YouTube thing that's on. So I'm pretty sure it's on the very. Can I use this?
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to look for that one. It's right there.
Out of those.
After a recent video I posted about people that went missing in Detroit hospitals, I was flooded with comments and stories from viewers with similar situations and stories. In the comment section, I was told about human body part rings that have been discovered over the years.
So,
intrigued, I decided to slap on my tinfoil hat and dive into this rabbit hole.
How do you turn it off?
I immediately took that tinfoil hat off because I don't think I'm going crazy at all, because the truth is stranger than fiction. This is what I found.
Just want to stop the video.
In the quiet suburbs of Chicago, federal agents raided two ordinary-looking businesses and
Yeah, but I want to pick up where I left off. Right? Yeah, but I want to pick up where I left off. You should be able to interact between the two. That's what I'm trying to tell you. XSplit, I think once you learn how to use it with the right settings, like you can flip between, right? Oh my God. Right. So how do you turn this back on?
The tab's at the very top.
What tab?
At the very top.
Up here?
Yes. At the very left.
What tab? At the very top. Up here?
There you go. You got it.
Okay, go see what he's doing and come back.
I did, but you see that blue? Okay, so here, can I just turn it with the mouse?
Go just see what he's doing first. He's making weird noises. No. Go just see what he's doing first. He's making weird noises.
He has his toy.
Oh.
That's what he has.
It's just because he moves around so fast.
Okay, so you see this blue box right here?
No, my eyes don't work.
Kind of. You see the kind of blue box?
This one?
No, not there. Okay, so there's a blue box like going like around there.
I don't see no blue box.
Back your point.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on this, at the very top over here, there's gonna be a box. So that's telling you you're sharing this on your stream.
Okay, so then what? If I turn this on right now?
Uncovered the unthinkable.
Stay quiet. Let's see.
Thousands of human body parts were meticulously cataloged and priced for sale. Heads for $500, arms for $750, or whole bodies for $5,000. Behind this dark marketplace was the Biological Resource Center of Illinois, a body broker.
Okay, so obviously this is not my video. No, you go away. I'm gonna make me one more coffee, and because I only got so many. Okay, you can play with this on my channel. I don't know how we're gonna. What?
What about this one? I tested it out. It works.
Oh, I
use
bet.
my Discord.
Yeah, well, I don't want you scratching it up.
I'm not gonna scratch it up. I was gonna ask if maybe if I can have it, borrow it for right now.
Well, yeah, but you got to protect the lens. It's no.
I know. I'm gonna put it in my.
No, because it's just gonna get moved around. Can we talk about this after? And no, because I know you. What will happen?
No.
All right. So.
Can I use it for right now, though?
No, because it's time for you to take a break. You've been on it all day and it's late. No.
Can I have it tomorrow?
We'll see. All right. So you can see my grandson, once he gets a handle on things, he's pretty quick to move it along. So in the meantime, this is the video that I watched, made a comment on, recorded my comments because I know the shenanigans around YouTube and their censorship. And I feel that if I take the time to type something out with thought, and I'm not willy-nillying the storyline just because, I got nothing else better to do and I'm looking for attention. No, I'm relaying my experiences, my reality, and the consequences around what's happened to my family and how I interpret that as to why, which leads me to illegal organ harvesting, where just too many people are in the dark. And then what YouTube fosters, allows to go uncensored, right, or promotes, are videos like what we're looking at here, where it's just scratches, surface scratching, where it distracts away from the public union sector in regards to government employees that work as a collective group in partnership with organized religion and other groups that help to facilitate illegal organ harvesting as a means to prop up the underground economy. Because no matter what people think, there is an underground economy and there always will be. And oftentimes it's the underground economy that holds up literally the economy, right? Without the underground economy, there would be no economy. And therefore, people don't do anything to change stuff. Except for I don't know, whitewash, smooth over the harsher realities around this subject.
Operation allegedly deceiving donors who believed they were contributing to medical science and not having their remains sold for profit. This wasn't an isolated incident either. Similar operations have been exposed across America, from Arizona, where investigators discovered scenes reminiscent of Frankenstein with mismatched body parts sewn together, to Colorado, where a funeral home alleged.
Okay, now if you notice, allegedly, and what he just told us sound really far-fetched, as if it was a macabre, one in a million instances where somebody went cuckoo, right? And decided just to sew up people together like it was, Frankenstein. You know what I'm saying? When, that's the smoke screen. That gets people interested to maybe, think about, but there's no real rhyme or reason around it. Or, I mean, perhaps these things did happen, but again, the organized crime around it, like what's going on in British Columbia, Canada, in regards to what happened to my daughters, because nobody's going to speak for them, only me. Most people are too afraid to speak out. Not me. I just don't have the time to invest. But I'm going to find some time. A little here and a little there. Even if it means I have to repeat myself over and over and over on certain subjects in relation to this subject. So if we play,
Gave families concrete dust instead of ashes while selling their loved ones' bodies. These cases expose a troubling truth. While organ donation for transplants is strictly regulated, the trade in non transplant body parts operates in a regulatory vacuum, allowing exploitation of donors' generosity and families' grief. But could these victims be more than just donors who donated their bodies to help others?
So here he's talking about people disappearing from hospitals in Chicago and places like that, right? And just being very speculative in terms of what happened to them. Were they victims to this industry of harvesting bodies, right? From an illegal perspective, where I don't have to be speculative about it. I'm convinced of it, right? And, I think there's more proof with Shmei than there is with Sierra, because what happens is, even though you catch him in the act, it still becomes circumstantial evidence because you weren't there to witness it in action. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? Anyway, okay, so I will just provide this link into this video, I suppose, and the last video.
Could a portion of these victims also be from missing people from all around the hospital?
If every time you see an ad, you just want to...
All right, yo. Now, how do I get back to where I was? Stop sharing. Did I stop the stream? Ooh, maybe I did. Oh no, what did I do? Oh no, I'm back. It froze? What happened? It's still live. Thank you for the thumbs up. We're working on it. You missed Andre. He's going to be a little guru. I wouldn't even give him 2 weeks. All of it. Right? I have to figure out what I'm going to talk about. I'll put this one at the top, this subject at the top of the list, whether people like it or not. Right? But I'm going to try and get back into those videos where I'm like doing the exposure to reinforce the truth of what I'm saying. Right? Okay, so end stream. We don't want to do that. So we tried the stream share, right? Screen share. We tried this screen share. And everything seems to be working. I'm going to try and get Andre to learn how to use XSplit, because then you can flip between more screens. I don't know. Plus, he is already streaming his game. So he uses a different stream service. So I have to figure out what I'm going to talk about and be consistent with it before I die. Yeah. Being that our politicians don't talk about subjects like this. And sooner or later, somebody's going to catch a clue in terms of taking it more serious and holding our politicians to account. Right? We deserve to live in a community where we feel safe, not exploited. And right now, too many people are falling through the cracks. So, and in my mind, with so many falling through the cracks, all it does is it just makes it easy for the crooks to take advantage of that situation and get free supplies to make a profit. Free supplies to make a profit. Being that we live in such a sick world that, some individuals see us human beings as supply, right? Like a crayon, piece of paper, a button, just a thing. Not a human, but just a thing. Something to use for the convenience of. All right, so I'm going to end it on this, all right, because I've been doing this for a while now. This was just a test. And I don't even know how to stop it. Edit. I don't know. I'm not trying to edit anything. Where does it say end? Oh, there we go. Okay. The stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live.